much.
Good morning, everybody. Thanks for stopping by the Today in AZ After Show.
I don't want to mention what we were talking about.
Yeah, this is one of those times I won't throw you under the bus.
Thank
We'll
you.
leave
Wow,
all I'm
the
gonna
between
say
the
is
lines
wow.
conversation between the
Stop
lines.
it.
You know, all morning long on Today in AZ, we were talking about Kobe Bryant. I don't know how you escape it. The news cycle is what it is, and this was not a death that any of us were prepared for. And I don't think a lot of us had any chance to process this before it was just out in the open, you know? We were sharing stories on the air about where we were when we found out yesterday. Why don't we go around the table for those who didn't watch the show this morning? I know the three of us were in the same place.
Yeah, we were at my fundraiser, my cancer fundraiser that I do every year. It was at the Cancer Support Community. And actually, one of my friends, or my co-host for my other show that I work
JR.
on.
Yes.
JR, yes.
JR Cardenas used to work here at
Yes,
12.
he's the one that told me first. And he goes,
Yeah.
hey, TMZ reported that Kobe Bryant said nobody had heard about it yet. And I'm
He
like,
told all of us.
And I'm like, are you
Yes.
sure? And he was walking around and he was telling everybody, I'm like, well, I don't want to talk about it. Like, all of us are here and it could be breaking news. But I was like, I don't want to bring down the vibe and the energy of what was going on there because everybody's having a good time and, you know, and it was the band and everybody's doing great. But it was just, it started going around the whole thing and everybody was in shock.
And everyone was on their phones. It was so
Well, yeah, that's the
wild.
first thing you do, right? You check Twitter and just see what the latest was.
So when it first happened, TMZ was the only one that was reporting it. And so I saw the tweet, but then when you try to go to TMZ's website, it was down. So you couldn't get on the website. So all of us then started thinking, oh, TMZ got hacked. You know, like there's no way
There
that
was
this
even
is
a
real.
moment you want to believe that. Like when you see something like that, I think I've saw so many comments where people are like, I thought that was fake news immediately, and I think a lot of it is because like you were desperately hoping that was not a true story.
Because it doesn't make sense. 41-year-old Kobe Bryant dead? Like,
well,
what?
and for those of us that follow sports every single day and you watch SportsCenter or whatever you do, like he was just in the news the night before because LeBron James passed him for third on the all-time scoring list. Kobe tweeted about it. He was congratulating LeBron, and so I remember thinking like because that was the last I just saw him on the news that morning.
Yeah.
And then you hear this just a few hours later. It just was like, well, that can't be true.
And then there
That's
are
not
reports that his family's on, and then there's reports his family wasn't.
Yeah.
And there's just so much information, some misinformation. And we first heard that there was 5 people, now it's 9. It really was complicated in the beginning, but even more so complicated because you never would expect someone still in the prime of their life to go the way that he went. I mean, to say it's tragic is an understatement because it just robs you of the life that you have looked up to.
It's really an interesting case study in the way that information disseminates in 2022 because even though we were in public in an interpersonal situation, it was all still spreading through this. And with it, all the trappings and misinformation that comes along with information you get off the internet. And like you said, there was even this bizarre moment in time where he was undead in our minds, where somebody in that group had been like, oh no, I heard TMZ got hacked. And then someone tries to go to the site and it's down, they're like, oh, TMZ got hacked. Like, oh, God, everything's okay. And then in that following moment, someone's like, no, NBC has it. ESPN has it. ABC has it. Now, his whole family's dead.
Coming out.
But then it's more information, right? Because there was an ESPN reporter who, and I'm not going to call him out on this, listen, there was a lot of bad media yesterday. And I don't think any of us are running from that fact. It's actually kind of interesting that TMZ was probably the most reliable source throughout the day. But there was an ESPN reporter who said all of his daughters were on the helicopter with him and killed his whole family with the statement. And when you read that, the tragedy takes on another life. It's bad enough that his 13-year-old was on the helicopter with him. We know that concretely now, but when you're still putting everything together, just the magnitude, the tragedy amplified by our devices and by the way that information spreads. I said this on the show this morning. When JR was first telling everybody around the entrance to your event, there were, I don't know who the guys were, but big, strong-looking fellas, 6'3", 6'4", chains and tough-looking basketball jerseys, I think they were wearing. And you just saw them standing there like this. Like they were having heart problems, you know, these strapping 30-year-old men just holding themselves together like, holy cow. And I was shocked by the visceral reaction that I had yesterday. I mean, I didn't grow up a Lakers fan. I grew up a guy who watched Kobe just as much as anybody else my age. But you don't expect to see somebody like that just ripped away in the prime, you know.
For someone like in our age group, you think about playing for 20 years and what that means and how many, you know, it's a couple generations that spans and what Kobe Bryant means to like our parents and our generation and the generation younger than us, like all have a different point in his career that Kobe was playing. And I remember being in elementary school when Kobe first came out and he was 18 years old playing in all-star games with Michael Jordan. And those are memories that I'll always have. right up until his final game where he dropped 60, and it was. I mean, think about that. I mean, I said it earlier. I think I was in the 4th grade when he was drafted, and I was 30 when he stopped playing, and that's my whole sports consuming life.
Well, someone said that outside the Staples Center when NBC was interviewing, the mass amounts of people who went out straight to the Staples Center because you don't really know where to go, especially these true fans who live and breathe the Lakers. Kobe is the Lakers franchise. I mean, the guy played on one team for his entire career, which is just incredible. But one person said, Kobe, he's a legend. He's a generation. We grew up with Kobe. We loved Kobe. And I thought that was such a great way to describe him and to really describe why everyone feels the way they feel this morning.
Well, my heart is just like hurting this morning because his other daughters too. Now they no longer have their father, and I know how that feels firsthand. But they're young
and their sister,
and their sister, and to lose everybody like
Can you imagine what his wife
in an
is
instant
feeling?
Without even.
I know.
You thought they were going to come back home.
Right.
You didn't think anything.
And that's one of the most jarring things too. And we talked about this a little bit earlier too. But I think it's good to get it all out now. And we're happy to get into your comments too. If you have any outpouring of support or just memories or anything like that, please hop in the comment section and let us know what you think. But one of the things that we discussed earlier is just when somebody acquires the stature that Kobe Bryant acquired in his lifetime, they become like a monolith. Like they're larger than the game. They're larger than life. Just unimpeachable wealth, unimpeachable success. This is a guy who traveled in a private helicopter all the time.
Yeah, to skip
That tells you what sort of life he's been living. You just think that tragedy befalls others. Not those types, because they're above it. They're beyond it. They're outside of the reach of death, and unlike us. Tragedy happens to us. Tragedy doesn't happen to Kobe Bryant, and that to me is what gets me the most. Is that death is as arbitrary and meaningless to him as it will be for any one of us. The knock comes, that's it. That's the end of the game, and there's nothing you can do about it. You know what I mean? Like, I can't even imagine what those final moments must have been like.
It makes you sick
with his daughter
We were
just
talking about that earlier,
breathless realization that this is it.
This is it.
I cannot even fathom it.
And the fact that it wasn't just his daughter. There were 2 other young girls, part of her team, that were on that helicopter.
Because you think as a parent in that moment, your first instinct is to calm the kids down. Take care of the kids, protect the kids. Jeez.
I can't imagine. And I don't know if you guys are the same watching right now, but I keep going in and out of are we really talking about this?
Yeah.
Are we
That feels surreal, doesn't it?
Is Kobe gone?
Yeah.
I do keep thinking, my brain keeps going in and out of are we really talking about losing Kobe Bryant, 41-year-old Kobe Bryant, father to 4 young, beautiful girls? It is just so surreal. I do, it's been so beautiful to see what impact this guy has had on the game and how the game really translates over to life and how he was the bridge to take not only this great career, but to use everything that he learned in basketball and translate that over to just becoming a better person, becoming a more fulfilled person, to becoming a mentor to other people. I mean, the Mamba Sports Academy was something that someone as big as Kobe Bryant did not have to do. He did not have to coach his 13-year-olds, girls basketball team, but he did. That's where he was headed. That alone just shows you, this guy is someone to be remembered.
Yeah, and one thing, though, that I hope that we can all do a better job, and we're certainly all guilty of it here this morning, but I hope we can do a better job of it moving forward, is that there were, 8 other people on that helicopter, and some of them, we don't even know their names yet.
Yeah.
And do you want to think about being one of them, and you have to be the family that says, so-and-so died in Kobe Bryant's crash. To them, it's not about Kobe Bryant. I mean, I'm not trying to minimize that whole thing at all, but what's really been sad to me is that, and even us, we're talking about Kobe Bryant, and we're talking about Gianna, but there are 7 other human beings who lost their lives in this, and they need to be honored too, because they were all doing the same things that Kobe was doing, when they were coaching their kids or being a part of a sporting event. And they're not going home to their families either.
Yeah. It's an interesting angle, though, and this is another thing we were kind of kicking around this morning. what does it take to make this large of an international impact? Like, who are his contemporaries in the world of sports and entertainment that you would say, if this person passed today, wow, what a legacy, but what a life unlived? And it has to be someone that's around that age, who's maybe post-prime or just post-retirement. There's not many names that we can come up with. And in the same vein, think about the similar sports tragedies or stories that would have us talking about it on the after show. I mean, think about in our lifetimes. The O.J. trial is one of them, almost certainly. I think if David Ortiz would have died in the Dominican Republic after being shot, he would be one that's up there. The one that I came up with this morning was the death of Dale Earnhardt. Because my youngest brother, my second youngest brother, Kevin, was a huge NASCAR fan when he was a little kid. He had all the cars. Our house was a racetrack 24/7, and he loved these drivers. He's one of those guys, you ever wonder, like, who watches on Speed for, like, the driver interviews for 4 hours of post-race coverage? Kevin Michael Gerke was that guy. And we were at a dinner, and we found out that Dale Earnhardt had died at the race. And we had to explain to this little kid that this guy, his favorite driver, not only he would never see him again or have a chance to meet him or watch him, but he died doing that thing. He died during a race. Just impossible to explain to a child. And that's something, too, that we don't think about, is that, like, there's a whole bunch of kids who this will be their first memorable experience with death and the finality of death and how to wrap your head around it. That you see this man on TV that you appreciate for his gifts and for who he was outside of basketball. But then in the blink of an eye, just like grandma or just like whoever, he's gone forever. That's it. All that's left is the memory.
I remember the Dale Earnhardt thing. I remember where I was. And what I thought was interesting about that, certainly different about today's day and age that we live in with social media, where, like you said, a lot of misinformation was coming out. The race ended, and we're celebrating the winner. And whoever won that race, I can't remember at this moment. But,
doesn't matter now.
But it wasn't like... It wasn't like the coverage of Dale Earnhardt's death was an immediate thing. And then I remember, like, the post-race show, just 10 minutes later or so, and we got to tell you guys about some terrible news. And it's like you go from celebrating one of the greatest endings in the Daytona 500, and then all of a sudden that. So different in that way. But you're right. Like, where were you? Like, I'll remember where I was yesterday. You guys will remember where you were. Certain other celebrities.
Princess Diana is another one that comes to mind in another realm. But
for us too, Aaliyah. Do you guys remember Aaliyah?
Yeah.
That was a big deal.
I was a little
she went
young
down.
for Aaliyah.
She went down in her plane too.
Yeah.
She was shooting a music video somewhere else, and on her way back,
Michael Jackson. I remember.
Michael Jackson is right up there. But
Yeah.
I mean, a little older. I mean, a little bit in
Different situation.
Yeah.
And a little more riddled with controversy towards the end of his life.
Certainly.
So
At
more
that
difficult.
point, we kind of knew with Michael Jackson that, like we said, we had kind of like day or so advance notice that it could
He wasn't
be coming.
well, and
and also his public perception was just different at that point.
Same thing with Prince, Whitney Houston.
Yeah.
I mean, those were
The first thought to me was to go immediately to I've talked about him all morning long, but my brother Thomas, who I grew up in Southern California, and so the Lakers are the only team in my family when it comes to basketball. I now do love the Suns as well. But that was my first phone call, was to Thomas, and have to break the news to him. And just reading his tweets throughout the rest of the day. And I mean, when I say, you guys, he loved Kobe Bryant, like it was as if that Kobe Bryant was his older brother. Like, that's how deep the love ran for Thomas. I mean, he adored this man. And what we were talking about, every single time Thomas would do a fadeaway shot into the trash can or into whatever he was doing.
Kobe.
Always Kobe. And I love that. And I hope, we were talking about that this morning. You were going to write a tweet about this, and you kind of pulled back a little bit, not knowing if it was the right time. But I hope I know that will continue for Thomas, that he'll always say Kobe, that his favorite numbers will be 8 and 24, that he'll wear that jersey with pride for the rest of his life, because that player meant so much to him. And it wasn't just because he was a good basketball player, but it was also because of the things. I think it's even more exciting to think about the things that Kobe has done post-basketball.
Yeah.
I mean, he really is a family man. We know that that's truly what makes people happy, is family. And to see him living that every single day, and then dying with that, taking his daughter to her game. My goodness.
One of the things that struck me yesterday was the outpouring of support from the WNBA.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize what an ardent supporter of the WNBA and women's athletics as a whole that he was. Not only was he raising his girls to be elite competitors just like himself, but he was very supportive of everything they're doing on the other side of the NBA token. And that just to hear from those ladies about how he had impacted their lives. You mentioned it on the show this morning. the number of people he was on a text message personal relationship
come on,
with.
This is Kobe Bryant.
Yeah,
There's a Sparks player that was bawling her eyes out on ESPN yesterday talking about how she texts Kobe all the time for dumb questions. And I think it was his daughters that inspired him to lean in towards the WNBA, at the end of his career. I totally think that he realized, I have these girls. I've got 4 girls who always get teased for not producing a boy. Yes, people would always give him a hard time. And we talked about this also. He was on Jimmy Kimmel just recently. And he was saying to Jimmy, fans of mine always say, you got to keep having babies. You got to keep having babies because you need a boy. Yeah, you got to try for a boy. And he told Jimmy that his daughter, Gigi, who unfortunately died in that crash as well, was like, Dad, I got this.
She was there during one of the interviews when they asked him that. And she's like, wait a minute, what about me? I got this. I got this
legacy
covered.
is going right with me. And there's videos now that are circulated online of he and Gigi playing one-on-one. And she really was talented.
That's
13 years old.
Let's get to some of your comments.
We have some mixed reactions here.
This is kind of a group therapy session for all of us here. Just let everything off your chest. Let us know what you're thinking.
I mean, Russell said, I know people die, but it's not fair when children have to live their lives, so early.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, that's hard to deal with, too. I mean, some people are, upset that the more the focus is on Kobe and not on the other
Well,
families.
to be fair, though, the focus is on Kobe right now because we still do not have, concrete...
well, no, but not just that. But
we have their names.
Look at the billions of lives that were impacted by a single person.
And the pilots,
it's not underscoring the tragedy of the other lives lost. We talk about death and destruction on our show every single day, and unfortunately, a lot of those people turn out to be statistics. But it's not a slight at them. It just shows the magnitude of the reach that one man had over the course of his life.
And Kobe was a famous person. We know about his life. We know about the choices that he made. We know about his career. And unfortunately, we don't know a lot about any of those other people. But those stories will come out.
We should. That's something that I really hope comes out.
Yes. Yeah.
Because I do, though, it is what it is. This is why we wouldn't be talking about this helicopter crash here in Phoenix and other places if Kobe Bryant was not on it. But that to me is sad. It's sad because there were, other than Kobe and his daughter Gianna, there were 7 other people, and we don't know. We saw where this helicopter landed, and of course we don't know this story yet, but it seems as if the pilot could have avoided some homes nearby and some residences that were very close by, and we don't know what happened at the very end, but that pilot could be a hero. For people lives that he saved. We don't know all these stories yet, and I just hope that we do. I hope that we learn it because there were 7 other lives.
In the same breath, though, I wonder if some of those families are appreciative that all that stuff isn't out yet, that gives them time to really grieve the people who they lost. Because imagine being Vanessa Bryant right now. Everyone's talking about her husband. Everyone's talking about her family, talking about her daughter. Sit back and think of how hard that really adds to the tragedy.
It's the moving forward that I worry about for them, though, that their family member is a statistic in the crash that killed Kobe Bryant, and that is not fair. It just isn't. And unfortunately, that's the reality that's going to end up being the case. Every time they see Kobe Bryant on TV or certainly his impending Hall of Fame induction next year, these are things that are going to be coming up, and I would beg to say that those other names are not going to be spoken about in whenever this is reported, and it's just not right.
Someone else that everyone's waiting to hear from is LeBron James. We did have video that we showed this morning of, the Lakers touching down back at LAX, and you could see LeBron hugging people. And because the last thing that Kobe tweeted was about LeBron, what Brian Cody just mentioned about him passing Kobe on the 3rd all-time best scoring list. And it will be interesting what he's thinking and what he will put out there. What do you guys think? Will it be a tweet? Will it be a video? Will it be anything?
It'll be some kind of video.
It'll be a video.
Yeah, it'll be more personal.
And a press conference.
Yeah, I wonder if it'll be a press conference.
Well, I do feel for all of the NBA types that are put on the spot. We saw a lot of it yesterday, guys crying in the middle of games.
They shouldn't have played yesterday. I'm going to say it. I don't think they should have.
Guys caught in post-game press conferences. Hell, did you watch any of the Pro Bowl yesterday? It wasn't about football. Every sideline interview was, what did you think of Kobe? Talking to guys who play an entirely different sport. Well, what about Kobe? What about Kobe?
I felt for Devin Booker yesterday, who was visibly upset. And they did everything that they could to honor Kobe, with the 24-second shot clock and some other things that they were trying to do. And I just thought, wait a second, this is a legend. I don't think we should be playing.
Yeah, I wish the NBA had canceled games last night, but I understand. And you know what? In devil's advocate, it's not bad to be around people who are feeling the same thing you are.
Yeah.
And I highly doubt
Group
Kobe
therapy.
would have wanted them to cancel the
Yeah,
game.
you think that the ultimate competitor would have wanted you to cancel games last night?
You're right.
But you brought up some of the weird statistical anomalies that cropped up last night. Trae Young and Devin Booker taking 24 shots apiece.
Yeah, and they combined for 81 points, which was, the second highest game total of all time.
That iconic Kobe game,
Bryant.
81. Yeah.
Those sort of things just happen organically, and I don't know, whatever you worship in your life, I mean, those things probably play a role.
We in humans search for patterns, sort of the way that we're wired.
We really do, because it kind of almost makes us feel like
there's
a little,
some sense to it.
Well, and connected almost to the other side. Like, that Kobe maybe had something to do with that, or that God is, is with us during this time, or I don't know, something like that. You do try and make sense of it.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we're following a breaking news situation here a little closer to home. I don't want to talk about it right now because I don't have enough information to speak eloquently on it, but I can tell you that in just a few minutes, we're going to be on 12 News as a part of our regularly scheduled 7:56 cut-in into the Today Show with a breaking news situation. We're sending our own Matt Uris out to Chandler right now to investigate a possible police-involved shooting. We'll have more information on that coming up on air, 12 News right now in just a few minutes. Thanks for taking part in the after show this morning. I hope you guys have a good one. Tomorrow will be a better day. I promise you that.